In our last video, we reviewed how to add and subtract integers. And multiplying and dividing integers, quite honestly, I feel is... people tend to do better with it than adding and subtracting. Out of the two, I would say that adding and subtracting is tougher because it's harder to think about the number line for some people. With multiplying and dividing, if you can keep these two rules straight, you should be in pretty good shape. So, when multiplying or dividing, if your numbers have the same sign, that means they're both positive or they're both negative, your answer is going to be positive. So if you have a positive times a positive, or if you have a negative times a negative, your answer is going to be positive. The double negatives kind of cancel each other out in a sense. When you have two different signs, your answer is going to be negative. So in other words, if you have a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive, your answer is going to be a negative. If you can keep that straight, really all you have to worry about is your multiplication facts. And if you can do that, you should be in pretty good shape. I'm going to put up 8 example problems now, and I'd like you to go ahead and pause the video and try them out for yourself. It'll be a nice review of multiplication facts, and I'm going to go ahead and go over these right now. So pause the video, try them, and see how you did. So first one here, we have negative times a positive. That's going to be a negative 24. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. We have positive 9. Negative times a negative here is a positive. 7 times 6 is 42. And when it's a positive answer, of course, you don't have to write plus if you don't want to. 5 times negative 12, answer is going to be a negative 60. If you have a negative out front like this, like in this example right here, some people will make the mistake of making it negative 56 and negative 7. If you do that, though, you're going to get a positive answer because your two negatives are going to cancel. When there's a negative up front, what I usually do is just attach it to the top number. It's easier to think about that way. It really doesn't matter where you put it, but only one of the numbers should be negative. 56 divided by 7 is going to be 8, so we're dealing with negative 8 here. Next up, 96 divided by negative 8 is going to be a negative 12. Now the last two here, we're dealing with an exponents. So this means negative 2 to the third power, or negative 2 being multiplied times itself 3 times. So if I actually write this one out here, negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, I'm going to do my first multiplication. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4, but a positive times a negative is going to be a negative 8 for my final answer. Similarly, without a calculator, this last problem here may look really, really tough. I mean, who wants to multiply out 84 numbers? But if you think about it, all this is saying is negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, 84 times. Well, if you multiply, forget the negatives for a second, 1 times 1 times 1, if you keep multiplying ones, your answer is going to be 1. So really, all I have to worry about here is my answer going to be a positive 1 or a negative 1. If you think about it, we're multiplying 84 negative numbers together. If you multiply 84 negatives, you can pair them up. They're going to pair up really nicely. And each pair of negatives, like right here, here's my first 2, my second 2, all the way to my last 2. Each pair of negatives is going to cancel, leaving me with a positive. So my final answer will be a positive 1. Now that right there is actually something worth writing down as a little note for yourself here. If you multiply an odd number of negatives, your answer is negative. And I don't have room on my whiteboard right here, but the other side of that would be if you multiply an even number of negatives, you're going to get a positive answer. Like here, 2 negative 2 to the third power ended up with a negative because one of the negatives didn't cancel out, this guy right here. On the last one, all of my negatives paired up nicely, so I really only had a positive 1 left over.